Hello, everybody, and welcome. Happy Sunday, and welcome to the Fellowship Covenant Podcast. Ooh, it's a scary episode. It's gonna be freakish.
Spring.
And today we have the multi-talented, wonderful Abelina Sabrina.
Hello.
Abelina Sabrina. Did I?
Yeah.
Long
no,
A,
I go
short
by
A.
Sabrina. So.
Sabrina, the one, the only. Welcome to the church.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
Thank you for having me. This is my first time being in a church in a while, so I feel very blessed.
Well, you should. Gormu has blessed us this Sunday, and brought us a guest, and we're gonna chat it up about church-related things as we also figure out what this podcast is about.
All right.
Are you afraid to die?
Yeah, all the time. I think that's where a lot of my anxiety comes from. Like, I'm specifically afraid of choking to death.
Whoa.
Like, I straight up stopped eating solid food for a year because I was scared of choking.
Oh my gosh. See, that's the same with me, except I never had I'm very all the time afraid of dying. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the point of the podcast. But choking's never been on the top of my list, but it is one of those ones that every once in a while I'm like, oh, what if I was just like alone in my house and I was just like, what do I do? And I don't think I could get it out myself. I know the whole chair thing, but I don't think I could do that.
No, that's hard. I've also been told that you could throw yourself on the floor in front of you and like try to land on your belly. I think that's one.
I feel like when people say that, they underestimate how frantic you probably already got food lodged in your throat. You're not
True.
like, let me do a belly flop.
Well, because even if you are around people, the universal sign for choking is this, right?
Yeah.
So I've felt like I was choking around people before, and you know what I've learned? They don't fucking know what you're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They're just like, what are you doing? Do you need what? Like, instead I'm like, and they're just like, stop it.
Yeah. Stop doing that. You always
Stop
do that.
dying.
So annoying.
Yeah, but that made me lose a little bit of faith in humanity, myself included. I don't know if I could save myself, but I did buy something. Because I am so scared of choking to death. Yeah. It's this tool called the Life Vac, and it looks like a plunger, and it's meant for if you're choking, you find it, you pull it out, it's shaped like your nose and your mouth, you secure it, and you go, and it pulls it out.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I should have brought it.
That's crazy. That's literally like the from the second season of I Think You Should Leave the Hot Dog Vacuum. Have you seen that season?
I haven't seen it yet.
There's like this episode where he's like trying to eat lunch while he's in the middle of a meeting because they pushed lunch, and he was trying to eat a hot dog, and then someone calls him out on it, and he accidentally sucks it into his throat. And then later in the season, they do another bit where it's a commercial for this like vacuum, and he's the spokesman person, and he's like, "Oh, if you get a hot dog stuck in your throat, you just like stick the vacuum and it sucks it out." But that's like the real life version of it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have any power to it though. It literally looks like a plunger. I Think You Should Leave one? Is
it's
it like
oh yeah, it's a power vacuum.
Oh god, you're gonna like suck out your insides with that too.
What? Yeah, the suction one is. I've never heard of that. So do you keep it at your house?
I keep it in my kitchen because that's normally like where I'm eating.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I always try to like make sure I know where it is. And then there's like a little tiny version too, because you could use it on kids. Like that's part of their promo. It's a nice way to like, because kids choke all the time. They're always trying to kill themselves.
Dude, I literally said that the other day because I was watching. I was reading a confession yesterday for this podcast, and literally on the podcast, I'll do a flashback in the edit. I say to Dev, who's sitting off camera, why are kids always trying to kill themselves? Because there was a confession where this brother and sister play this game they call Death. And they're like, oh, we play it all the time when we were younger, and the game is that like you put a bunch of pillows on your siblings' like head, and then you sit on it until they like start to run out of air. And then one day his sister did something to him, and they decided to play the game like a day later, and he just like didn't get off of her, and she kicked him off, and his face whacked into the headboard and broke his nose.
Oh, okay. I didn't think he would get hurt that way.
Yeah, no, I thought that Because he was like, oh, and she was screaming for help and kicking around, and I just didn't stop. And I was like, it feels like children are always they just love dying.
They love dying, and I think it's because their brains aren't big enough to actually start thinking about it yet. They just kind of see what's in front of them. They're very much in the present. They don't think about the future or the end of their future.
No.
Well, I guess in a way they do if they're playing a game called Death, but
yeah, my like first fear, I've talked about this before, but I think the first time I was like afraid of dying, I was like in 4th grade maybe, and my biggest fear was drowning. It still is one of my biggest fears.
Really?
But
Can you swim?
yeah. Oh, I can swim. No, I can swim all right. But I was like, there was this pool. I've probably already talked about it. I'm only 3 episodes into the new version of the podcast, and I'm already like, I might have said this on the podcast. But I was so afraid that, like, at the big pool in the middle of town that has a 15-foot deep end, that these bad guys would, while I'm asleep, 4th grader, like tanning on the beach, they would tie me to the recliner chair or whatever you call it, the beach chair.
Yeah.
And then they'd take the whole thing and toss me into the deep end and sink me. That was my big fear.
Where do you think that thought came from?
I don't know. I think it just came from the fear of, at the time, knowing that the pool was 15 feet deep and knowing that I probably couldn't swim well enough. And sometimes during, like, they would, to make everyone go out of the pool, and they'd like take canoes to the middle of the pool and start looking in there if a kid was lost. So so it was really like creepy. And I remember that summer I like wanted to get back to school so badly because all I could think about was being scared that that was my one fear, and the other fear was that people were going to lock me in the trunk of a car.
What kind of people were you around? Were they bullying you or something nearby, or?
No, I think I was just a little freak. There's a little bug in here.
Get it, Bambi. Get it.
No, you kind of went the wrong way, Bambi. It's over here. But yeah, as a kid, I very quickly started to worry about that. Now I don't worry about the drowning thing as much as I worry about just not the painful part of death. I do worry about that, but I worry less about that and more about the death part of death.
Well, hopefully if we do make it to old age and we do get to that point where, sometimes elderly people, when they're in the hospital and they go through hospice and stuff, something that I have learned, because I enjoy following like hospice care nurses, is that a lot of the time they're saying that when elderly people do pass, it's not as painful, because something that happens when your body like starts to die, like over the course of a few days or weeks or however long, is that you don't drink as much water, and being dehydrated helps you not feel as much pain. And so I even saw some nurse say that like some families will try to like insist that you give their loved ones fluids, like thinking that they have more of a chance, and maybe they do, and that changes for people, but being dehydrated, I guess, helps you pass with a lot less pain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess that, I don't know if that makes me feel any better. I guess the fear lately is that, the fear that's super lately, which I talked about last week, was I was watching a movie like a few days ago. That's when I always get something will pop in my head. And
Scary
I'll just
movies?
loop. The movie was like this freakish, like, have you heard of the movie We Need to Talk About Kevin?
No, but I don't like that title.
Yeah, it has Tilda Swinton and Ezra Miller in it, and it's about this kid.
Wait, Ezra Miller.
Yeah, they were in it too, and it was like this like movie where they're like Tilda Swinton's son, and she like raises them, but it's like the whole mother son like this like evil child, and this mom's trying to like, but the whole movie is just a real bummer.
Yeah,
they're just fighting with each other, annoying, and then it was a very obvious movie. At the end of the movie, what does a bad kid in school do in a movie? That's what the movie led up to.
Okay.
A violent ending at the school. Okay, that's as much as I can say.
Okay. Oh, without spoiling it?
I feel like that was pretty obvious in terms of spoiling it for some people. He was a bad kid, and he...
Oh, yeah. One of those, yeah.
So that's not good, and it was a bummer of a movie, and I will not see it again. But during that movie, I thought, hey, you know, it'd be an interesting thing. What if, like, I just suddenly have, like, terminal, like, what if tomorrow I go to the doctor and I have, like, a terminal illness? And then that became a new fear of mine, is, like, what if not only do I die, but there's, like, a ticking clock down to the end? And that's what really freaks me out, is knowing and seeing it coming.
Do you take yourself to the doctor for checkups and stuff?
Not really in a paranoid way as much as, like, I just do it so I can get medication to make me not want to worry about that.
Well,
But
not even just your mental health, but your physical health too.
yeah. Overall, I do take myself to the doctor.
Do you do like your yearly labs with your blood and all that
yeah,
stuff? Okay.
yeah.
Good. Great start.
And my dad did an ancestry test.
Oh, to
And
see
it
like what you're more
said-
likely to get?
Yeah, and it says we're all pretty good.
Good.
And my brother, I think, did one too. But I think I need to do one to make sure that I'm not going to get...
There are places, and I'm sure like your doctor would do it too if you asked for an order, but there was a place that I went to where you pay like what was it, like $100-200, and then they do like an ultrasound scan of your entire body to look for like any lumps or anything suspicious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it was just like, it gave you some peace of mind. And it also tells you like whether it thinks something is like fatty, like more benign, or is it like something you should go get checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one little gnat that keeps flying around our heads.
He's trying
Hey.
to go outside, and he thinks this green screen is real foliage.
Yeah, he keeps trying to run into it. Yeah, maybe I need to get that scan.
Yeah.
Maybe
some
that.
peace of mind.
But that's like, oh, that's the weird thing, is that every person, there's always, you hear those stories where it's like someone just wakes up and suddenly like they have like an aneurysm or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those can be detectable if you like.
If you look for it.
I guess there's. Hi, Bambi. I guess there's signs. I don't know the signs, but I think they can be detected in advance. With,
Man,
like a CAT
what-
scan or CT scan.
A CAT scan. I had to get a CAT scan last year, but
For
I was
what?
good. For my sleep sweats, this is a long story. I have like horrible sleep sweats that I get as like a side effect when I take medication.
Oh.
In the past year, I've just been jumping back and forth between all these medications, and finally I got prescribed something that fixed it, but it made me like super drowsy during the day. So I'm like still balancing back and forth between, if I take too much of the dose, I don't sweat in my sleep, because I would wake up every night. It started like a year and a half ago, and it's like every night, like 4 to like 6 times around. Like I'll have to wake up, like pat myself down with a towel, like straight up, and put new clothes on. I like sleep with like a sweatshirt and pajama pants on, so it doesn't get all over my sheets. But it's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing that happens.
That's miserable. Have you seen like those mattresses that stay cool? Have you gotten one of those?
I have a, what is it called? An 8 Sleep, which is the mattress
that-
yeah, there's like a little dial on it. And it's not like a thing that's a reaction of like heat or anything. It's literally like I'll wake up and just the room will be freezing, and I'll be like freezing cold, but then sometimes it's like really hot. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. This whole podcast would just be like, what if you die from this? What if you die from this? This thing's going wrong in my life.
Well, I don't think sweating at night will kill you.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
good.
think so.
It's uncomfortable and yucky, I bet.
Yeah.
But
Luckily, I
probably
don't
won't
think
kill
I'm
you.
gonna die. But I did
And-
the CAT scan, and they couldn't find anything.
Good. See, that's good. And here's the thing. You have made it this far. You have survived every little yucky feeling. Every single one. You're still here. So chances are you probably will keep surviving.
Yeah, I mean until I don't. But see, that's the thing. At the end of it, it's like the end of it. It just always ends the same way, which is like the big freaky part of it. But I think, yeah, the surviving this long. This my caveat for that is that one of my this is just also like a therapy session for me. I'm
Oh,
just
great.
Like, I'm like, bring my friends on. Okay, listen to me. Listen to my problems. The big one for me is that I have a very big fear also of other people around me getting hurt, other people around me passing or whatever. And I've never had that before. So that's the feeling that I'm like really afraid of, is I'd never had a person really close to me go, and I don't know if that makes the fear of it worse or if it's going to be worse when it does come. I've heard a lot of different things about that, about whether
Like family as well?
yeah, like I've heard a lot of things around like, oh, it's once, like if you haven't experienced it, like once you do, it's not like as I want to say people have said like it's surprisingly not as like horrible as you'd think, but it's kind of hard to believe that.
I think you're still going to have that grief. I think a lot of people know what grief feels like, that just pit in your body. But and like I struggled so much. Like the first like person that I talked to on like a not frequent basis, but like a loved one was my grandma, who passed a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time that's happened like in my adult life where I understood what was going on. And one thing that was I didn't expect was after she passed, her body truly did feel like a shell. Like she just wasn't in there anymore. So, you know, everybody has their own beliefs on like what happens after, like to the essence of you. But there was something, I don't even want to say comfort, because maybe it was comfort. I don't know. But there was an understanding that this right here is not her anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if that adds or helps anything, but
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
but I will say, like, before she passed, she did do that thing that a lot of people say that, like, their sick loved ones or their elderly loved ones will do, is, like, she would, like, look in a corner of the room and, like, say that somebody was here to get her. That's, I never know what to think about those stories. Like, are people hallucinating, or are they actually seeing the souls of their past loved ones coming to get them? But, I mean, a lot of those stories, like, get repeated all the time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know. What do you think?
I pass the mic off to you. So what do you think happens as you're dying? It's just like such a I've had like a very weird journey with the way that I change how I see that process and how I see the world. And I feel like especially in the past couple of years, it's changed the most it's ever have, because I feel like the original reason why it became such a prominent thing in my life is because of the church and because of what I was learning as a kid and what I believed. And then all of a sudden having the struggle of that belief, like the way my friend explained it was like, do you think that it feels like you were told dude, he just like yells, he doesn't even meow,
he's answering it for you, we just don't understand it.
Yeah, we just need to decipher it. But I think like Jesus, man, I also gotta figure out when these trash people are coming. These trash people. What was I saying?
Where we go after we die, or while we're dying.
Yeah, the way he explained it was like, does it feel like you were like promised this thing or told this thing exists? Like I grew up with the belief that this thing was going to happen, that I was going to go to this place after death or whatever. Right. And now once I grow up, Jesus, and sort of like struggle with that and struggle with whether or not I believe that, it feels like something that I've known this whole time, which is that like you die and you go to heaven and you're there forever, all of a sudden is conflicting with what I actually believe. And then I'm like, it's that feeling of like, oh shit, I could have had that.
What do you mean you could have had that?
I guess if I did believe it, I could have had the comfort of knowing that everything was going to be okay and that it wasn't going to, be forever, which is like, is that the way to live life, is to hope that you believe something that
That's what a lot of people do. That's kind of what most people do. Yeah. For like the history of humanity, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does bring a lot of comfort. And, I think even the really, really religious people do have their doubts every now and then, but then they end up circling back.
Yeah.
To God.
And I feel like that was my cycle for a really long time, until that conflict part of my brain, which believes the thing it actually believes, regardless of whether or not I want to believe it. That part is always going to is always going to cause like discomfort when it comes to the actual, belief system or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how else are you supposed to move on and want this thing? Because what I always tell like people who are in the church about like my journey and whatever is that like I am always sitting here with open arms ready for anything to like really capture me and make me focus on that thing. Like if Jesus wants to speak to me, like I'm here for it. Sure, I'll listen. But until then, or until something really moves me, you know, it's like I don't want to pretend or force myself to think something that I don't, because even though my thoughts now make me anxious and I think about it all day, I at least can do this and talk about it and talk to friends and my therapist and this and that and like figure out the way to make my actual life comfortable to live while also being able to fully like do what I believe in and talk about things that I believe, I guess.
Does this anxiety over it, does it benefit you at all?
I don't know if I would say it benefits me. I feel like most of the time it just really gets in the way, because at least in a very broad term, I mean, this is something, again, point of the podcast, this is something I can talk about forever, but my major thing that I've tried working on all my life, and especially in the past couple of years, is the fact that like no matter where I am, what I'm doing, if I'm talking to someone, if I'm doing this or that, the thing that's always playing in the back of my head, sometimes not even the back of my head, sometimes it's just the thing I'm thinking of when I'm talking to somebody, is just the idea that we are here right now and this moment's going to move on, and at some point neither of us are going to be here, and that's that. And that's like what runs through my head, at least. And so the goal is, at the end of all of this, is to, by the time, you know, that time gets closer, to be at a point where I do accept it and feel comfort over it. But as of right now, not so much. As of right now, it's a real suck fest.
And it's hard to just turn that off.
Yeah.
You can't. You just have to, like, it's easy to say, like, I'm going to be present in the moment, but to actually be present is so much harder.
Yeah.
Have you seen, there's this little book, I don't know what it's called, but, and I don't even think it has any words, but I think it's like a little pig, and with each page, the pig is like kind of anxious. Are they here?
It's the alarm. I'm trying to see if these, I'm going to wait till I see the truck pull up.
Okay.
So there are anxious piggies?
No, it's just one
Just
pig,
one.
kind of like, you know, a flip book.
Yeah.
So kind of like that. And so he's just there and he's like, I know this book is going to end. And then as you flip through the book, obviously the book is getting closer and closer to the end. And he's just like freaking out that it's going to end. And so he keeps like rummaging through the pages himself. And then finally it just ends. And he spent the whole book being worried that it was going to end. And he was not happy the entire time.
Is this a kid's book?
I think so. It was like drawn like a little cartoon.
It's such a depressing book. Okay, I gotta get this.
They're there? Nick is a very nice guy. I wish I could grab up all this anxiety that he feels about this and squish it so that way he can live happy and comfortably and not have to worry about this anymore, and he'll live a super long life. But until then, we'll just get the words out. And I think that does help a little bit.
Okay, what were we talking about? Sorry, everybody. I had guys come to my place to get trash out of my garage.
50 guys.
There's 50 guys. Oh, that is a pretty big truck, though. It's big and yellow. Anyways, the process of moving is just me constantly having so much trash in my garage because I can't, there's too much.
Like unboxing?
Yeah, just unboxing stuff because I have like this whole patio. They sent the patio furniture people sent me my patio furniture.
Great.
And one of the pieces was crooked, and they also forgot like an entire sofa thing. And so my parents were like, we need to get to the bottom of this.
Great.
And so they like got on the phone with Wayfair, whoever it was, and instead they just sent us a whole another patio set. So now I have a patio set in my backyard, and I have one on my roof because they gave me a whole second one. And so I had to unpack all those. At least. Yeah. So guys, just remember, if you get patio furniture, just break one of the pieces, and then you'll get a whole second one. I didn't do that though. Obviously, it came that way.
I mean, I don't feel bad for Wayfair. I think they're the same company where they were providing like the bedding furniture for the children who were getting locked in cages at the border, and their own employees were like, hey, we don't want to do this, this is wrong. And the head of the company was just like, fuck you guys. And they just like their own employees like made a petition and everything, and they tried like doing whatever they could to not do it, and because they had like a government contract. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so fuck you, Wayfair.
Yeah, you suck, Wayfair.
Yeah, fuck
you. You're going to hell if it exists now.
Oh no, my thingy fell.
Yeah, where were we talking about? We're talking about a bunch of sad stuff.
We're talking about where you go or where you might not go.
Where you might go, where you might not go. Do you go to? When was the last time you went to a church?
Like for an actual service, or just like to wander in and appreciate the architecture?
For something that, let's say for like at least like an event or service or whatever it may be. If it's, I don't know if it's like you were in the church for a reason besides just wandering in there.
Besides, damn, that's the only reason I do it these days.
Like if there's a funeral or a...
Oh, a funeral. Well, yeah, well, does it count if it's just like a chapel for somebody's funeral? It's not like a service necessarily. I guess.
I guess it kind of counts.
Kinda. I guess. Yeah. Then my grandma's funeral, we had in a little chapel, her little wake in like 2019. So about 4 years ago.
Dang.
I don't. Even as a kid though, I didn't really go to church. Like my family was Catholic, but we didn't go.
Yeah.
One time my mom dated this one like gangster guy who was kind of Christian, and so I think he became Christian while he was in prison. But anyway, he would go to church, and I was just like, you know what? I listen to Reliant K. They're always singing about Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's check it out. Like I went in super open-minded, and I left after one Sunday, and I'm like, nope, not for me.
It was Catholic church?
No, it was Christian church.
Oh, really?
I've been to Catholic church like a few times as a kid to watch like Easter, Jesus get hung up on the cross.
Oh,
like not
love it.
Yeah.
Hanging him up on the cross during the service.
Yeah, you put up a wreath, you put up a Jesus. Like, it's just what you do. But no, yeah, Christian church, oddly enough, like it made me cry. Because you know how like, have you been to Christian church?
Yeah, I grew up in
okay,
like non-denominational Protestant type like rock band on a stage church.
Is that the same one where they ask at some point like, is there anybody new here?
Oh yeah.
Blah. So they did that to me. They brought me up at the front, and then all of a sudden there were like people surrounding me, like putting their hand.
Yeah, no,
it was a lot. And then everybody's crying around you like, oh Lord, bless Jesus, please bless this girl, she's new. Blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
Like it was really intense, and like it made me cry. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, is this the Holy Spirit? But I'm like, no, I'm just anxious, and there's a lot of people touching me, and I don't know who they are.
That's something that they wouldn't do every Sunday, but I think like every once in a while they have like these series. Hopefully listen, this podcast is very low maintenance. There is yard work or something you can have it outside. Who cares though?
Who cares?
It's all the way over there, and my mouth is right here. So so I'm fine.
Yes.
But yeah, I went to a church that's very much like, you walk in there's a band playing. The band always has like 7 singers. They have like 4 band members, and then all of a sudden they have like everyone who could possibly sing up on the stage. Too many people singing. We don't need that many people singing to be around all day, because when you're in the church band, I used to be in the church band when I was younger.
You were?
I wasn't good enough for the main service. I only played the main service a couple of times, but I'd play at the student nights on Wednesday nights. I'd play drums. That's when I started getting into music, and then I hated it because they'd hold you there for so long. On Wednesday, you'd have to be there at like 4 to like rehearse, and the adults would make all these kids come to be in the band for the student thing, and then you'd be there from 4 to like 8 or 9 on a school night.
Oh God!
And I'm like, what am I even doing here? Half the time I'm just sitting here looking at my phone, waiting for the adults to be ready. And so I stopped. I quit the band. And I quit the church.
Oh, you quit them both at the same time?
No, it's not true. I did not. I think I stopped doing the band when I was probably sophomore or junior in high school. And then I stopped doing the church, I think my junior year of college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was pretty late. I was a very Christian boy through high school, pretty Christian through college, and then sort of came out of it. And now I have a new religion with Gormu. It's just 2 fingers. It's pretty straightforward.
It's like the Disney point.
What's the Disney? Oh, is that like a...
Yeah, Disneyland cast members, they can't point because it's rude in some cultures. I don't know which cultures, they never explained. So they make us all do this instead to point in a direction.
That actually does seem like a thing I've noticed at amusement parks. They're always like, bah, bah. That's bizarre. I forgot that you have your Disney...
It's another kind of religion, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a life commitment for a lot of people. It's scary.
You didn't happen to do it through like the college program or anything? You just like...
No, the college program was even more exploitive, I think, because you didn't get like paid really.
I had a lot of college friends. Oh, this isn't even my water bottle. I just leave water bottles. I left a water bottle at my friend Ben's place, and then I brought a new water bottle and left it at Jarvis's place, and now this is Dev's extra water bottle.
Have you heard about the water bottle trick, hack, whatever, in order to find out whether your significant other is cheating?
Oh,
Sorry, I just have to
know.
say this before I forget. Okay, so what you do is you buy a water bottle, like a canteen or whatever, and you put it in their car, or like you bring it with you when you enter their car, and then you act like you just found it there. And then you go, oh, hey, is this your water bottle? And then if he says, oh, yeah, thank you, they're cheating. And if he says, like, no, whose is that? Then they're not cheating. Because, like, why would he say, yes, that's mine if you just brought it?
So in order to figure out if your partner's cheating, you just have to be an insane person.
I saw it on TikTok.
And you have to test them.
No, it was on 102.7 Kiss FM. It was a radio show thing.
I love Kiss
but
FM.
It worked. It worked. Some girl found out that her boyfriend was cheating.
Wow. And she's kind of a psycho also, but listen, which one's... I don't know which one's... Well, I know which one's worse.
One is worse, Nick. One is very worse.
I know which one's worse. That's not the question I meant to ask. I meant to ask, is the moral, like, listen, I don't know how to phrase it. Maybe people just think I'm a bad guy now for saying they're the same thing.
Say it.
It's on the podcast. I'm leaving it. But I will say, if you do need to feel, like, if you feel the need, anyone who's in a relationship, if you ever feel the need to, like, test your partner to see whether or not they're loyal to you, just break up with them. If you're really worried about it, it's just not worth the worry. And if you're suspecting it, there's nothing wrong with asking, because a lot of times if you ask, you find out that they're an insane person, because they'll freak out and say, oh, what? Oh, Dev said she's on her way back and she got us pastries.
Dev! Little Miss Lemons! Okay, I say in theory, yes. But also, if you're in a relationship with somebody who lies to you a lot, and might I even say gaslights you in the actual sense, it does kind of crumble, your mental health a little bit, makes you doubt yourself. So for some people, having a little bit of like truth, even if you're getting it through a little bit of a weird means, it makes you feel a little bit better about like finally leaving.
That's a very good point.
You're not exactly at like the peak of your mental stability if you're in that situation. But yes, in theory, if you're able to leave.
That's a good point. Yeah, you say that almost as if you have like some life experience about it. I would say like it's the same way I say when people are like, is cheating ever like, do you need to tell your partner? And the only time I say no is if you think that by asking your partner or bringing it up to them that you might be putting yourself in some danger.
For a second I thought you were talking about the other person. Like, if you cheat, should you tell them?
Yeah, and some people like ask that question, or they're like, do you think in every scenario it's absolutely essential? And of course, in 99% of them I do. I don't know if 99%. I feel like in cases where people are cheating more than 1% of them, the partner cheating could also be dangerous when it comes to asking if he's being loyal, or she or they. Anyone can be unloyal. Not it. You could have an inanimate object that is, or if that's the way you want to, let's just move on.
There was this one guy on TikTok. He's a therapist, like an actual licensed therapist, and he was talking about, a lot of people gave him shit for it because normally he's so popular. He said, like, if you cheat one time and you don't actually think you would ever do it again, sometimes it is better to not tell your partner. And everybody's like, what? But then I guess it also depends on like what you constitute cheating. I think for him, I think he was talking about like a kiss or a hookup. I don't remember. But either way, like, no, like, buddy, are you trying to tell us something? Did you do something?
Yeah, I don't think, like, I think a kiss is far beyond what you should be telling your partner if it's going to that place.
But like, if you do kiss another person, you should tell your partner.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
if you hold hands with someone, you should tell your partner. It's weird.
It's not even just the kiss. It's not even just the hands. Yeah. It's like, why did you allow that to happen? Assuming you're in a monogamous relationship.
Of course.
There had to have been something that, made you feel like that was okay to do in that moment.
I think in any situation, people like to look at that stuff as if it's like like how bad the action is itself. Like, oh, if you're just if you hold hands with someone, or you you're like talking to them all day, or you're going out and hanging out with them and this and that, and you have feelings for that other person, then regardless of whether or not you like cross a boundary, you still gotta tell your partner. At least in my head, I am very like, I've never been in a relationship where I've cheated or the other person is cheated, which is awesome because I do. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you. I would
Round of applause.
I would like to say that it's never been an issue in any of my relationships, luckily. But
hell yeah.
It is like a huge fear I've always had, and something that I still have anxiety over. But of course, a lot of it has to do with me and my own trust with people.
See, just hearing you say that makes me feel a little bit better in general. And again, I don't know if I'm just watching too much TikTok lately, but I've had just like a lot of doubts for just men in general, like just the way, like, again, like older like therapists and stuff, they'll say like, yeah, most men cheat. Just especially when you're dealing when they're dealing with like older male clients, it's just like, yeah, all of them have cheated at some point in their life. And it's like,
that is always crazy to me.
That scares.
I hear so many stories about it. I'm just like, I've never had that, like, I've never had the urge to. I've never like had a big falling out with someone else doing it, because I don't know. I just feel like I'm so like cautious about it that. But I don't know. I think it just depends on. Maybe I just got lucky.
Good.
Or maybe I'm so dumb and everyone I've dated has cheated on me. No. That would be a horrible thing to say. No. All lovely people. They're all welcome on the podcast.
Fly them out here. Come stay at Nick's place.
Yeah. I've got a guest bedroom. Oh. Imagine if there was a podcast where someone had enough exes where every episode it was just like one of their... I always thought it would be a really cool podcast idea, something I'd never do because it would freak me out too much. But a podcast where every guest is someone they went to high school with that they like never talked to.
Oh God.
And you somehow get one of them to like, you just reach out and try to like get people to come on who like you never really interacted with or you barely did. And I think that would be so interesting.
That would be so interesting. Like you would bond over little things here and there, but yeah. Damn, what do you think people would say about you from high school?
Depends how charitable I am towards myself. My personal feelings is that I thought looking back, I am very embarrassed.
Why?
I feel like...
Did you Naruto run?
No, I wasn't a Naruto run kid. I was like first I was a cross-country track kid, first
normal
half
running,
of high school.
Right.
Normal running. And then I graduated to Naruto running. No, and then I started doing more music stuff. Cool. But the whole time I was very like... I think I was just a little annoying. Like, I don't blame the kids who... I kind of blame the kids who bullied me, but I don't fully blame them because I was like, yeah, I was pretty cringe a lot of the time. But
that's the time to be cringe.
Yeah, at the same time, it's like everyone was. And most people probably worried about it. But sometimes I just think about it and I'm like, man, I wish I could go back and just just not talk.
No, the cringe ones are the bullies, honestly. Like, looking back, like the things that bullies would pick on people on, like, no, you're cringe. I got bullied a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
For sure. No, I was a little bit of a weird, because I was in like theater and choir. I was definitely a little weird kid. And so whenever I wasn't like in those environments where I knew everybody and I felt comfortable, I was just so anxious that I just like didn't really talk in my other classes. Yeah. So I don't know what people would say about me.
I was one of the kids. Yeah, I was one of the kids who like never, like if I didn't know anyone in the class, I would not say a word in the class. Like when I went to college and I didn't really have any friends, never was like, I never talked in any of my classes. I was like very much, I was like the quiet kid who sat at like the other
near
table.
The door.
Yeah. I would literally sit next to the door at the one table where no one else was sitting.
Yep.
And even though I would be in other classes in high school and I would be like the most talkative, if there was no one I knew, I literally would just like sit in my own little.
Yep.
I had no interest.
I used to get worried. Like I would just sit there and think like I feel so uncomfortable right now. Like constantly, I couldn't even focus on what was going on. I would think like these people must think that like I'm stupid or slow or something because I just don't want to talk or interact or anything around here. I feel so dumb. Yeah. That's
how kind of how college is that I just. I would always have this thing where I'd be, if I was in a class where I didn't talk and I like sat next to a group of kids who did talk, I would always think that like all of them hated me.
Yes.
Or that they all like think I'm weird or annoying or whatever.
Yep.
In reality, probably never even thought about me or like had any sort of conversation. But even in college, I would literally be like, these kids all hate me.
Yep.
They all hate me. And I always would see everybody else, especially once I went to college, I'd see like everybody else is like older than me, regardless of if I knew. Sometimes I still feel that way where like
college?
Yeah, in college, if there were like other kids in the class, I'd be like, oh, they're probably, these people are like, a lot of times they would be my age, but I wouldn't really know because once you're in college, it's just like a bunch of random freaks. We will be eating in the episode after. If you guys are watching this and you want to give your $2 a month to the church, it's just a $2 tithe. You can go to patreon.com/FCpodcast. We are going to be doing a little episode after this where we eat these pastries that Dev gave us and rate them and read some other confessions maybe. Who cares?
Do what to them?
Rate them.
Oh, God. I heard something else. Okay, yeah, let's rate them.
I think,
what did we just talk about?
I think we should segue it to us looking at other people's sins.
Okay.
You are not forgiven for your sin.
I don't forgive you.
But some of you guys may be forgiven if you want to confess your sins. You can email me at covenantconfessions@gmail.com and we will every week I will look at some of them and let you know whether or not you're forgiven. Everyone always just sends me things that they did as a little kid. I want people to tell me real sins that they did with full consciousness, but we'll see what happens today. But before we do you have any, before you forgive sins, you have to confess your own. So do you have anything, and you don't have to make it you as like an adult or kid or whatever could pop into your head if you have anything, but something that you would want to confess that would make it so you are, you can certifiably forgive others.
What would I want to confess?
Might be good to get off your chest. Maybe there's something that's been weighing you down that you need to, tell everybody. You've been juicing up for the big fight, Creator Clash?
I have not been juicing. I have put on about 15 pounds. I started at 100.
Congrats.
I'm 115 now. My opponent and I agreed to meet at 115 pounds. She started at like 130. So we're trying to meet in the middle. I don't know if she's there yet, so I'm a little concerned.
What happens at the weigh-in if the other one of the fighters isn't
This is where it gets a little bit choppy. I wish that we could just be at the weights that we agreed at, or at least like within a couple pounds of it. But in reality, according to the Florida Boxing Commission, we only need to be within 10 pounds of each other.
Wow.
But it's like a 10-pound advantage is still quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I I'm considering putting on more weight, but I mean, the fight is 3 weeks away now. I can't put on an extra 5 pounds of muscle. Like, some of it would have to be fat if I'm trying to go up in weight. So I'm just really hoping that she sticks to her commitment and she comes down. Maybe that'll be my confession. Maybe I need to ease up on being so irritated about that with my opponent. Because it's something that's just been driving me a little bit crazy the last few months when I'm looking at like her weight status, and I'm like, I don't think she's gonna hit it. I don't think and I'm getting mad at it, but I don't know.
But you never know. Maybe you'll be surprised when the day comes.
That's my confession, because like I'm not somebody who like judges somebody's body type, but this is a fight. It's a contractual obligation. This isn't like just her living her life. I don't care what she weighs in her normal life. Before a fight, so that's my sin. I'm letting this get to me too much. Like, I shouldn't let somebody's weight bother me this much, but it does.
And is it out of like the anxiousness that, once the day comes that she's gonna be 10 pounds over you, and then it's gonna be tougher, obviously?
Yeah, at the root, it's my own anxiety that's getting to me. Like, I didn't know, for example, until after it came out that we were gonna fight each other publicly. This girl has 9 years of roller derby experience, like one of the most violent female sports out there. Meanwhile, I haven't had any sort of athletic experience at all. Come on, I did like high school theater and I worked as Minnie Mouse at Disney. That's it. I'm just, that's the thing. Again, I'm letting these little details get to me.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, the only thing you can control without, accidentally yelling at somebody, the only thing you can control is just your own shit. So as long as you're there and you're prepared. My only 2 guests so far are both fighting in the fight, and of course of course I can't freaking be there, even though I had everything ready to go, and then tour, so I will be playing a show the same time that you're beating the crap out of somebody. But
I will.
It'll probably be, since I will be in Phoenix and you will be in Florida, that means that the fight will be earlier. So I probably will be free when it is.
You can tune in.
I'll tune in while I'm on stage. I mean, I'm only on stage for 25 minutes. So besides that, I'm going to be watching the whole thing.
You can totally tune in. Plus, there's like 12, 13 fights. So it's going to go on for a while.
Do you know how far into it you are?
No, but I'm supposed to find out this week. I don't want to spoil it. I don't know if I've already told you like in private, but like my walkout is going to be really exciting. So I don't know when they're going to put it. I hope not too late because I get a little sleepy, but I like to be in bed around 7 to 8, look at my phone for an hour or two, and then conk out by 9. That's my plan.
Wow. And you're going to be in Tampa, which will mean that even when it's late there, it'll technically still be, you probably won't be up too late.
Well, that's why I'm going to get there like 4 days before the fight so I can adjust to the jet lag and hang out with Gabby Bell.
Nice. Yeah. That's going to be fun. I'm very excited. But also, like, when I watch... last year I didn't have any friends in the fight. And when I watch the fights, I still get so nervous watching them. Mm-hmm. And so now, having 2 good friends in the fight, I feel like I'm going to be, like, so freaked out watching it. But I am very excited.
We'll be okay.
Yeah, we will be... Okay. I will at least be okay. No, why would I say that? You will at least be okay. And... I have a much lower stress. Mm-hmm. Well, it's your first fight and my first show on tour, except I am...
A lot of firsts.
Dev's the first opener of the act, and I'm the only other person in the band, which means that I am, like, out of all the musicians on the tour, I'm the least important person. Because I'm in the first opening act and I'm not the lead. I'm the only one that's not the lead, which means... That means
there's less pressure.
Yeah, because all I do is drive around and do YouTube work all day and try to figure out what I'm going to do while I'm on the road. And then 25 minutes a night, I just get up there and no one even... And then it's also not my tour, so there's going to be like a couple people who know me that I can talk to, but I'm not going to have to like talk to a bajillion people every night.
That sounds really fun.
It sounds just like a good time. Yeah. I get to see the country. I've never driven around the country.
How long is the tour going to be that you're going to be away from home?
It's like a month and 5 days. It's 24 shows. It's pretty intense.
I'll say don't party every single night. It's going to be really easy, especially the first week. But when you're doing a tour and you have to travel a lot, you're gonna want that good sleep so bad. So sometimes it's totally okay after a show to just go back to the room or wherever you are and just sleep.
Yeah, I forgot that you've had a crazy... I remember you had your U-Haul experience with
Yeah, I had to drive around. I drove us for most of that tour. So...
That's actually insane. That you had to drive. Where's my goddamn water bottle?
Did you get it? And so, yeah, one of the times... I think it was in Texas, they wouldn't allow us to rent a car because there was like a hurricane or something, and they wanted to keep as many cars at that location as possible. So we had to get a U-Haul, and I don't think I'd even driven a U-Haul before, but God. I had to learn to drive across Texas. It was fun. It's a fun story. In the moment, it was stressful as fuck, but
yeah,
you get fun stories out of them at least. But you're gonna have fun.
And with that fun story, let's read some confessions. We probably have time for like a couple, and then we can do a couple after.
Okay.
But let me find one in my saved that we can go for. Okay, I've read that one. Oh my God. Okay, this one is insane. Okay, well, I'll read this one. This is short, and then I'll hand you the next one. This one is kind of a relationship one, so it kind of goes with what we were talking about with the cheating stuff. So my ex-partner was poly, so that's how our relationship functioned for a while. After we broke up, we kept hanging out and hooking up. Great idea. Good job. One day, we kissed, and it tasted weird. And he admitted he ate someone out that morning and didn't brush his teeth.
Oh!
How?
Oh, that's mean. That's so mean.
So in retaliation... Oh, wait, it's still... So in retaliation, I secretly sucked someone's dick, didn't brush my teeth, and kissed him. That is just... That is like... How do you even get to that? So she finds out that he did the deed, and then...
That's mean. Oh.
And then learned about the eating out without the brushing of the teeth, and then was like, fuck you, goes to do it to someone else, and then goes back and somehow is like, everything's okay, kiss me. Ha ha.
Did they tell him?
That's where it ends. But
you have to provide an update. I'm so curious. This is like one of those Reddit robot things with the subway racers where it's like, all right, where's the update in the comments?
You just keep going through to get to it.
Wow. I think that's forgivable.
Yeah. I mean,
an eye for an eye.
Yeah. An eye for an eye. I think the beginning one, like, I think what the guy did in the first place, once that happens, I think like anything is on the table. You can do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah. You can kill him. I don't.
Yeah. Kill him.
Wait. So, did the person say in the beginning though that they knew that they were getting into a relationship with a poly person? Does that mean that they were accepting that it would be a polyamorous relationship, or did they expect a monogamous relationship with somebody who had polyamorous tendencies?
I think my ex-partner was poly, so that's how our relationship functioned for a while. But then I guess this was after they broke up, so I think it did function that way, and they knew that. But then they broke up, and then. Which, like, sure, on the table, if you, well, they're not even together, but on the table, it's not illegal to eat someone out and then go to someone else's house and make out with them and not brush your teeth. It's not
just
illegal.
A little inconsiderate.
It's just
it's not good hygiene.
Yeah, you're a weirdo if you do that.
Well, also, I feel like that you could possibly give them an infection, or even worse, an actual like STD that way. You know, like when you're making out with somebody, it's not where you usually have an STD talk.
Yeah, so you should the boy should be handling that himself.
Should have brushed his teeth, used some mouthwash, or told her.
Yeah, or like don't eat someone out in the morning and then go hang out with your ex.
Yeah, that's a little gross.
Do you want one that's about trick-or-treating, or do you want one? Oh, the second one is another spooky one. I think these were for the Halloween episode, but if we can do
Are they from October?
Yeah, October 20. Because we haven't done the podcast forever, so I haven't put out the new episodes, so people haven't been sending in new confessions in like months.
Okay.
Okay, here, you can read this one.
Okay.
This one looks like it's a doozy.
Huh. Do I read the title too?
No, don't.
I might spoil it.
You can make it a surprise.
Okay. So this happened to my younger sister a few years back. She was 11, I think. It was Halloween, so her and her two friends went trick-or-treating. At one of the houses they stopped at, there was a man lying at the bottom of the front steps, unmoving, groaning, with some blood on him. My sister and her friends thought that he was just playing pretend and was planning on jumping up to scare them once they approached the door. So they proceeded to stand at the fence, yelling at him and laughing. After a while, they walked up to him, still laughing, and making fun of him. Then her and one of her friends started jumping back and forth over him while he apparently just stared up at them, unable to speak. Then they noticed that the front door was wide open, so they peeked inside. No candy bowls in sight. Then they realized that none of the house was decorated. A group of teenagers saw what was going on and called 911. My sister and her friends waited until the ambulance came and saw him be carted off on a stretcher. Then his wife came home and broke down at his side. My sister said that they were harassing this poor man for about half an hour. So yeah, my sister is a bit traumatized from that, and I bet the man is, well, I hope he was okay. He sounds dead.
I feel like I might be going. I'm like 30% sure, but we might have. Sounds familiar, and I'm like, we might have read it on the Halloween episode. But regardless, still gonna keep it in because I kind of forgot. I don't remember if we read this or not. If I heard another person tell the story, but either way, new people are gonna hear this it again. I think that is like so. The idea that of the man's perspective that he like fell and was hurt or whatever. Like, and he can't move, and all these kids finally show up, and they're like jumping over him and like making fun of him. Like, holy shit!
How did they even? Why would you do that at all? Even if it was like a decoration or something, like get off that person's property. What are you doing? Like, that's not a playground.
It was Halloween though, right?
But it wasn't even decorated. There was no candy bowl. That's fucking weird. Oh,
I can totally see it happening though, just because there's so many people on Halloween that want to like play dead or whatever, and then the kids are just like, oh, I don't want to get freaked out, so I'm gonna. But like, wow, that's crazy.
Did it say he was bloody?
Yeah, it said there's blood on him. It said.
Oh my god, that's even worse. I don't know if I forgive that one. I mean, I guess they were kids. You probably should.
Yeah, but just because what I say is just because they're kids doesn't mean that we can't just forgive every kid. There's got to be bad kids and good kids. There's got to be a spectrum. So some of these kids have to, own
gotta
it.
Learn. Yeah, they gotta learn their lesson.
Okay, let's do one more and see.
Just in case.
Just in case. There's another one called Playing Dead.
Is that just the theme?
Oh wait, this is very similar. This might have been one. Maybe this is the one we read, and that's why. Okay, let's see.
Okay.
The beginning of this is Hello Gormu, Brother Beard, and Brother Beard. So both, this is just for Ryan and Gormu, none of which are in the room right now, but we'll read it anyways. Hearts. Happy Halloween. My name is Nerian, pronounced Nerian. Sorry, I mispronounced it. Nerian, and my pronouns are they, them. I have a little sibling, Wade, they, them, and we're 5 years apart in age. When I was in about third grade, about 8 years old, I thought it would be really funny to play dead in front of my sibling on Halloween before we went trick-or-treating. Very similar story. I was a man laying on my front steps and these kids showed up. Imagine that. I slipped on the steps and then these kids showed up. At first they were on to me telling me to wake up so we could go. I didn't move and I tried to breathe so softly it wasn't clear that I was indeed breathing. Then they started to freak out a little and tried even harder to wake me up. I should have stopped then, but I just kept pretending to be dead. The longer I played dead, the more they panicked. But at the time, I thought it was really funny. So I fucked with them until they were way past crying. Oh my god. I only stopped because my parents walked in and told me to. Looking back, I absolutely traumatized my little sibling and I feel awful about it. That's why I'm confessing my sin today. I can only hope and pray that Gormu might forgive me for my acts. It would bring me much jubilee if this weight could be lifted from my shoulders. So I think that is the one that we actually read.
That one's forgivable. The ambulance wasn't called, no wasted resources.
No one was technically hurt physically.
No, nobody jumped over them.
Yeah, just mentally you messed
Mental
them
hurdles.
up. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we have so many. I need to put out the podcast so we can get the new confessions, but we'll at least leave it there. We'll do a couple more in the Patreon episode, but for now, Sabrina, thank you for the double Disney point. Thank you for coming and becoming a prophet of the church. And is there any where first of all, where can the people? I didn't do this for Jarvis. I forgot to give him his plug. He was pissed.
People know Jarvis.
He was like, let me have the plug. He's like, I need to plug myself.
That's his thing. Always be plugging.
Yeah, he got so mad at me. He's like, dude, what is my thing? And I was like, well, I don't know. I try whatever. What's his catchphrase? I try hard.
Try
or
my
whatever.
best.
Try
my best.
Oh, I try so hard. Yeah, we get it, man. We all try too. Just kidding. Love that guy. But is there anything you want to plug? Go ahead, plug it.
Oh, I mean, you could just follow me everywhere at Abelina Sabrina. But most importantly, come watch me at Creator Clash in Tampa, Florida. Will this be out by April 15th?
Yeah, I think. Well, let me check.
If it's not, maybe I won or lost by now.
I think when it comes out, because I'm probably posting the first one the 3rd. This is either coming out the week before the fight or week after it happened. So this might be.
Ooh, so whether I won or lost.
Yeah, I think they might know at this point because I think this might come out while I'm on tour and while you're in Tampa. So
oh boy.
Hopefully, good luck to us both.
Good luck to us both.
But especially you. If I fail, doesn't really matter.
Amen.
If you fail, it's all on you. Amen. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. We will be now going to the Patreon episode. Praise be. Goodbye. And have a blessed day.
Bye.